Hi everyone, thanks for joining me once again. It's a Saturday morning, it's stories once again. Okay, now at time of recording this, I'm actually in the UK. The reason I've come back is because I'm finalising the sale of my house. I am very much a Bangkokian now. I live in Bangkok full time, have all the visas and everything as you know, but I've had to come back because my property, my house where I live, my wife and myself, we're going through the final stages of the sale and I have to be here just to empty out any rubbish or help her move furniture, all that sort of thing. Now because of that, I'm expecting to be here for about 2 or 3 weeks only. If it looks like everything is going to plan at the moment, so fingers and toes crossed. I hope that does all work out. With regards to the stories, now I was going to go off the radar for about a month, 3 weeks to a month, because I am extremely busy. When you move house, you know, there's a lot of things to do. You have to change utility bills, you have to pay off things, get rid of other things. There's just such a lot of things to do, including packing boxes and everything. Okay, so with that in mind, as I said, I was going to go off the radar and just stop the stories, maybe do the odd live stream, but I think it's important to keep the momentum of the stories going. There's a lot of people who have signed up to this channel because they like these Saturday morning stories, but as I've said many times, they are very time consuming. So instead of going off the radar and not doing them, what I've decided to do is just water it down a little bit. The uploads are normally about 30 to 40 minutes long with 3, 4, 5, even 5 stories. So what I think I'm going to have to do for the next 2 or 3 weeks is I've consolidated these down now to about 10 to 15 minutes. That's all. There's 2 stories this week. It's the best I can do for now. As I say, I wanted to go off the radar, but it is important to keep the stories going. So there's 2 good stories this week, but the upload, as I say, is probably about 15 minutes long. All right, so let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into the first story, as I always say.
สวัสดีค่ะ
The story starts in 2013. I was 39 years old and I needed a holiday. I had not taken a trip abroad for a good number of years, so I booked a trip to Thailand. I hadn't done any real research, but I heard Thailand was a great place to visit. Good food, beautiful beaches, friendly people with some beautiful ladies. I booked my hotels online before I left for the first week. I only intended to stay for 3 weeks, but things happened and I ended up missing my flight. The hotels I booked had swimming pools and were not near the nightlife areas such as Nana Plaza, Soi Cowboy or Carlson Road. But still, I had a nice time enjoying the weather, drinking in the hotel bar, and I went for walks nearby discovering the Thai culture along the way. The third hotel I stayed in was in a much livelier area. I didn't have to venture very far outside of the hotel. There were some good bars with live bands playing that were pretty good, and there was also a good night market nearby to explore. I didn't see any other foreigners in these bars. It was mainly Thai people and they were buying whiskey by the bottle, not beers. I remember getting a little drunk. There were quite a few pretty girls sitting around that looked like they worked in the bar. I wasn't sure, so I asked the manager and he introduced me to a very beautiful girl who was wearing braces on her teeth, but the problem was she didn't speak any English and I didn't speak any Thai. Needless to say, nothing happened with this girl and as there was no conversation, so she took off very quickly. What I should have done is called an agency so that I could have been introduced to an English-speaking girl who could keep me company for the evening. One of the main reasons I came to Thailand is because I wanted to look at products to ship back to the UK to sell. I went to several t-shirt factories, but they were not as cheap as places like Vietnam and Bangladesh. They produced Nike, Calvin Klein and a lot of other big names. In Vietnam, the quality is very good, much better than Thailand. In the end, I opted for plain coloured t-shirts as these were cheaper. I shipped back several boxes to the UK and sold them on eBay as there were no copyright issues as they were plain. They went pretty fast, but I didn't make a fortune, but I also never made a loss, which was important. I never discovered the Nana area and Soi 4 in my 2nd to 3rd week of my trip. I visited the Grace Hotel and was told this was a hotel that was used back in the day by the Americans in the Vietnam War. I noticed there were many Arabs in this hotel and they even had a disco downstairs that was full of mostly Arabs and Thai girls. I visited Hillary 2 bar and this is where I met my first bar girl. She told me she was new to the bar and had just been out with one guy. Usual script. Anyway, she was sitting alone and we made eye contact. She smiled, so I wandered over to her table, sat down and offered to buy her a drink, which she accepted. She went on to tell me that she had just given birth 3 months ago to a baby daughter, which was a little off-putting if truth be told. I didn't really understand the bar scene on this trip to Thailand, and although I enjoyed this lady's company, we didn't end up leaving the bar together. Instead, I ended up going back to my hotel alone. I stayed for a few nights at the Majestic Grand and the JW Marriott Hotel, which were both close to Soi 4 and Nana Plaza later on. These were both upmarket hotels, a bit expensive, but I wanted to treat myself and I met some really nice people while staying there. I moved to a third hotel nearby, which was supposedly the tallest hotel in Bangkok. I met a girl in one of the restaurants in this hotel. She was really cute, so I asked her out after work. She said yes, and we went to a nightclub. I remember buying a bottle of whiskey and we got quite drunk. We had a great time. Afterwards, there was lots of kissing and petting, but unfortunately, no aerobics. I met a really nice American guy who knew Bangkok well, and after a drink or two, offered to take me to the Honey Club, which I had heard about before I arrived. Arriving at the Honey Club was a real eye-opener, different to anything else I'd experienced in Bangkok. On one side of the room there were lots of girls with different numbered buttons displayed by each girl. The American guy explained to me how everything worked here, but unfortunately, as beautiful as these girls were, I didn't have enough cash to take advantage of my current situation. I made up my mind right there and then that I would be returning the next night with a pocket full of cash. I checked with the people running the bar and they assured me that there were no ladyboys working here, which made me very happy as I didn't want to be caught out. My first experience of having aerobics with a Thai girl was with one of the girls from the Honey Club. I was surprised that I didn't have to pay for a bar fine, so took her out. I just had to tip her well for joining me in my hotel room for drinks, if you know what I mean. At the time, I was now staying at the Nassau Vegas Hotel, and again, this was one of the hotels that had been used by the Americans taking R&R from the Vietnam War. The girl from the Honey Club was very professional, polite. We had a great aerobic session. She had a warm and nice nature about her. I thought she was lovely. We exchanged numbers with the intention of meeting again, although in reality, I kind of figured we never would. It was kind of like the old saying goes, ships that pass in the night, but what a fantastic ship, I thought. Unfortunately, because I was so wrapped up in my own world in the land of smiles, I overstayed my visa. I went to the British Embassy, which in those days was located on Wireless Road. I concocted a story about how I'd become ill and missed my flight. The staff at the British Embassy told me there was another route I could go down if I didn't want to pay the daily overstay rate, as my funds were now very low. I could follow the deportation route, which involves going to court for a morning with other foreigners, getting taken to the airport and being put on an aircraft. I know this sounds a bit dramatic, but honestly, my bill for overstay was quite high as a couple of weeks had gone by since I should have left, and as I said, I didn't have access to any more funds at the moment. In the end, I asked my dad to send over some cash as I didn't want to be banned from such a nice country like Thailand, but I really didn't enjoy asking my dad for money. Looking back on my visit to Thailand, my time at the Nassau Vegas Hotel was where I enjoyed myself the most. I have met quite a few people in this hotel, some staying long term, some short term. Some days we used to just go over to the 7-Eleven across the road and buy beers and just sit around and chat for hours. It was so interesting meeting all these different people from around the world. On other nights, we would head out to places like Carlson Road that were very busy. I made really good friends with these people and I still keep in touch with some of them today. After a while, I started hanging around the Nana area, especially on Soi 4, and I often enjoyed the company of the freelancers that hung around outside of the Nana Hotel. They never got offended when I asked them if they were ladyboys or real ladies. I guess they were used to this question. Their prices to enjoy their company for drinks in my hotel was fairly good. Most of them quoted me 1,000 baht as a tip to keep me company. Some of these girls were really nice human beings. They were just unfortunate being in the situation they were doing what they had to do to feed their families. Quite often afterwards, I would take them for a meal and a night out, which they seemed to really enjoy. They never asked me for any more money, but I always gave them more anyway. On one occasion, I met a wonderful girl in the Hillary 2 bar. She told me her name was Ice. She also was asking for 1,000 baht tip to keep me company. I stayed with her several times as she was so nice to be with. I suppose this is hard to understand for anybody who hasn't visited Thailand and just looks at it as a business arrangement. You really need to have visited Bangkok to understand how easy it is to become attached to those wonderful ladies. I had initially popped in one or two go-go bars in Nana Plaza, but honestly, they weren't for me. I didn't like the whole atmosphere in the go-go bars, and they were very, very expensive. You couldn't even sit and have a chat with a girl you might be interested in unless you were prepared to blow an outrageous amount of money on fake ladies' drinks. In my eyes, freelancers are definitely the way to go. You can chat to them first to see if there's any chemistry. You don't have to pay for ladies' drinks, and the cherry on the cake is there is no bar fine. I never had any issues or bad experiences with freelancers in Bangkok. I intend to visit Thailand again soon. I also plan to visit Pattaya because I have heard it's a fantastic city for fun if you're a single guy. My overall experience of Thailand was nothing short of excellent. The people are warm and friendly, the girls are wonderful, the food is great, and there is so much to do. Why anybody would visit Thailand and not enjoy themselves is beyond me. Anyway, this is my short story of my experiences in the land of smiles. I hope you enjoy reading it, and I hope it doesn't bore your viewers. Thanks again from a long-time subscriber of Thailand Bound. Okay, one of those stories, isn't it? Guy goes to Thailand for the first time, has a great time, and it's his best memory of his life. I just want to pick up on one point that he actually explained in this story. He was going with, if you don't know what a freelancer is a girl who isn't attached to a bar or a go-go club. They hang around and you can pick them up and take them to your hotel for drinks, as it were. And that's what he decided to do. Now, there is a dangerous side to that because you oppose that with the girls who work in the bar who are, yeah, okay, you've got to pay bar fines and everything. But you do have a little bit of protection. There is a level of protection. I'll give you an example. If a girl works in a bar, she's working in a good bar, she wants to keep her job, she's making money, and she goes back to a guy's room and there's a few 1,000 baht laying on the side. She decides to help herself to some money or a gold chain or a nice watch or something. Then obviously that guy will go back to the bar and complain to the bar. Now the bar might not necessarily, well, they won't give the money or the watch back or anything like that. They won't have the watch. They won't give the money back. But they'll have noted your story. Now, if that girl does that often, if she goes away with her customers and she always steals, eventually there's going to be enough guys who go into that bar, and that bar doesn't want to ruin its reputation with having thieves working as dancers, okay? So what they would do in that case, they would pull the girl aside, and if they didn't fire, they'd really, you know, lay into her and read her the riot act, as it were. So you have got a level of protection there where, with the freelancers, the girls who are kind of hanging about, yeah, there's no bar fine, there's no ladies' drinks, they tend to be cheaper, but the problem is, if you get caught, you drunk, you fall asleep, you save soaping, or you leave a nice watch on the side, it's tempting for them. You know, they work hard for a little bit of money. They skip with a nice gold chain that you own or a watch. There's no comeback. The police, you can go to the police and make a report. They'll take the report, give you a number, and that'll be the end of it. You'll never see that chain again. You go back the next night to see if the girl's there. She's not stupid. She's not going to be there for at least 2 weeks to a month because she knows you're on vacation, so she's going to stay away, okay? And let's just give it another twist. Let's put another twist on the story. Let's just say you went back there and she was there. So you approach her and you say, oh, you stole my chain from my room last night. She's not going to open her arms and say, fair cop, you got me, let's go to the police. She's going to say, no, I didn't. You drank too much, you must have lost it, okay? So you can't win. So a little bit of a ramble there, but what I'm trying to say to you is if you're one of those guys who like to entertain the ladies, there is good points and bad points for both. The bad point for the bar girl is a little bit more expensive. Good point is you have a level of protection. Freelancer, the good point is cheap. Bad point is there's a bit of risk involved. Okay, so if you've gone out for the first time, you haven't entertained the ladies, you now know about the risk. All right, let's jump into this second story. It's very, very short. It's actually written by a guy who's never been to Thailand, but it was just his experience growing up and some of the things he experienced. And it's quite interesting, so I thought I'd tag it onto the end of this video. This story starts in the late 90s while I was still at school. We had a neighbour who was an interesting man in the sense that he liked his cars and he had his own small engineering workshop. perhaps something of an introvert, but quite friendly, and he lived alone. Then out of the blue one day we had an invite to a wedding reception held at his house. At the time we didn't realise he even had a partner. Anyway, as it turned out, it was a lady he had met while on holiday in Thailand. So here we all were after the wedding at his house, sat across the room from a whole family flown over from Thailand, especially for the wedding. Not able in the slightest to communicate with each other, we just exchanged smiles and nod. As a 14-year-old schoolboy, I really struggled to understand the appeal and logic to all of this, and found it all quite bizarre that someone would marry someone from halfway across the world who didn't speak a word of English. Nonetheless, they seemed happy, and that was that. Moving forward a few years, and now in my early 20s, I was invited round to discuss a potential job at his company. We were sat in the dining room and his wife Lek appeared at the door holding a small white dog. She asked if we would like a drink and then came back with 2 Chang beers, placing them on little paper napkins. It seemed as if she was a paid member of staff who lived in the house and not a wife. I had never seen anyone acting this way before. Then again, later on, once the drinks had finished, she reappeared hovering around the door, asking if we'd finished and could she bring us another couple of beers. I suppose it was just her whole mannerisms that caught my attention. Fast forward a few years and now aged around 30, I was invited to a goodbye barbecue as they had both now reached retirement age and had decided to sell up, and they were going to move up north but remain in the UK. I suppose this is a day that really got my mind thinking about what the whole fascination was with Thai women. I was probably first to the barbecue that day and sat in the garden. You could see down the driveway as each of the other guests arrived. I quickly saw a pattern emerge as each of the guests had one thing in common. Their wives were from Thailand. With everybody there and in good spirit with the beer flowing, I was given a hard and fast education as to all things Thailand. They were very honest about their own personal stories and experience, from one man meeting his wife while he was on his honeymoon 20 years ago, to another going away on a business and reminiscing how he had a girl under each arm watching TV in the sunshine saying he never wanted it to end. I was told that if I ever went to Thailand, don't do what they did and marry a bar girl. I wrongly assumed they meant the profession was not good enough in their eyes, like a barmaid in the UK. And so I argued that it didn't matter what job they had as long as they were good people and we respected each other. They had to somehow explain what the bar girls did for a living. Not easy when all their wives were looking over. All in all, it was a brilliant day, and to see all those absolutely stunning women cooking up fantastic food and special drinks was great. These girls were really entertaining and funny. I suppose the realization then came as to why a trip halfway around the world and the effort was worth it. From what I had seen on that day at least, it only took me 15 or so years to work it out. I've never been to Thailand but intended to go this year in October. Unfortunately, very recently my partner and I have separated, and she feels taking the children on my own would be an unsafe holiday. Perhaps I should go alone. I think I could change the activity program if I did. Yeah, a great little story again. What I noticed about Thai people here, and I hope I don't offend any Thais who are watching, I did a video called the Ealing Festival. Okay, it's basically a Thai festival where they put on food, there's all the Thai dance, and they wear traditional costumes. I went with a friend, I filmed it, I put the video on YouTube. It's about 6 months ago, probably longer now, and all Thai people there. But what I found, they're different. When you meet the Thai people in Thailand, they're just completely different to the Thai people here. I'm not saying anything bad or derogatory, but they seem to become, they get the English attitude, if that makes sense, without me kind of pushing it further. And I just found, for instance, I'll give you an example, okay? So in Thailand, you're walking down the street, you smile at somebody, they smile back at you. It doesn't matter who it was. If they see you smile at them, they'll smile back at you, always, without exception, okay? So when I was walking around the Ealing Thai Festival, when I made the video, I smiled at several people and they didn't smile back at me. And it was really strange because they look Thai and I know they're Thai, but their attitude was totally different. And I think bringing them to this country kind of spoils them. So guys, if you're married to a Thai, no offense meant, it was an observation. Okay, right, that's it for this week. As I said, very short upload. I hope I can put another one up for you next Saturday. If I can't, I'll release I'll let you know somehow. I'll put a post out just saying I'm too busy, but I promise I'll try my best. Okay, until then guys, I've got a lot of things to do. I'll catch up with you real soon, and thanks for watching once again.